Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's guest, we have a returned citizen back to society that's come home and he's become a success in his own right. So we're going to bring on Jerry and allow him to give his story, and it's a good one. So we welcome you to the Wendell Elamine James show, and want to welcome Jerry. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Wendell.
Right on, right on. It's a pleasure having you. You know, we have us. This show is designed for long-time offenders coming home from prison after doing a long period of time in prison, and we got this show is to show society that we're not just throwaways. You know, some people say we go to prison and we're supposed to be in prison, and that's not the case. A lot of us go in prisons and do the metamorphosis, come home and become part of society as law-abiding citizens, which you've done. You know, so I want to ask you a few questions, and hopefully that it won't bother you me asking these questions, because, like I say, society need to know who we are. What did you go to prison for?
I went to prison for a gang-related murder in 1983.
Okay. And how much time did you serve?
Almost 27 years.
Okay, right. So going into prison, you must have been a young man.
Yeah, I went in. I was committed the crime like a day before my 20th birthday.
Is that right? Okay.
I was in prison ever since.
Yeah, you was a young man. You was a young man. So you went into a society where you had to do a real quick change, because at the time that you went in, it was kind of like rocking and rolling right there.
Well, yeah, I did. I mean, I had to adapt to the environment, but I think that because of my gang involvement and personal attitude, failure to accept personal responsibilities, blaming everybody else, it was kind of adjustment challenges for me.
Okay. And at what time during your incarceration did it come to you to realize that you had to do something different?
Well, after I had been incarcerated for almost 5 years, well, 6 years, but almost 5 of those years in isolation off and on. Last time I went to isolation, I think it kind of clicked,
Yeah, it can. Yeah, lights can come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I set up in a cell in solitary, like my routine. I went in, for, at this time, another assault on prisoners, combatant situation, which could have been easily avoided had I had the communication skills, cognitive base to draw from, but I ain't had it at the time.
Right.
But I knew something had to change, man. So I just personally, I appealed to my higher power, take control of my life, man, because I wasn't doing such a good job of it, with the promise that I'm gonna do something each day to better myself. I left the hole in 1989 to Ashby Max and never went back again.
That's right. The light come on.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
hit the switch. Big man hit the switch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes to take going to the bottom of the pit to wake up. A lot of us go in there and we continue doing it for the rest of our life and never come out.
Well, the thing is, I think that everybody's it's possible for anybody to change. I just think that each person's bottom is a little deeper or a little shallower than the next.
Right.
But I would say to never give up on anybody.
Exactly.
If I can change, man.
Exactly. I was told once years ago when I was in Old Folsom that everybody is salvageable.
That's right.
Don't give up on nobody. Everybody can change. So we just give them the right tools to work with. They can take them and they can change. So you did quite a bit of time in prison. So you did 27 years in prison. And how long you been home?
I've been home going on 7 years now.
Okay.
Past 7 years this October.
Okay.
20th, maybe
Right on.
7 years.
That's good. And what are you doing now?
Well, right now I'm in transition. I'm going to go to a new job, a supervisor's job. I mostly do social work. I work as a community and social activist. And I really talk about issues that plague our community, those coming home from incarceration, some of the challenges faced by them. I did a lot of policy work, around some of the issues that I think was stagnating people.
Okay. Yeah, we have programs that we have set up for long-time offenders coming home from prison, because they, after doing a long period of time in prison, a lot of people, they started to transition inside. They started to change their life inside, And my feel is that if a person starts the transition inside, they need to have a completion outside where they need to come to. They don't need to come home and go into a drug program. They don't need to come home and go into a certain program. You need to have a smooth transition coming home.
That's right.
So that's what a lot of us coming home are doing for the people that's coming in, and that's a good thing that you're doing. You know, I just last week, a week before last, matter of fact, down in was it Menlo Park?
Yeah.
You know, you did a bike giveaway.
Yeah.
You know, that was really something. You know, for me, I was invited, and I came down, and when I seen all those bikes, that was really something, man.
It was. I mean, it's part of. I mean, a lot of people look at it like we give bikes every year. All of us in a membership organization I'm part of, which is also a support group for formerly incarcerated people. We don't like to say use words like offenders, because words have power, right?
Right.
So although we understand that we are ex-offenders, you know what I'm saying, words like returning citizens, our full citizenship isn't granted us. You know, there's a lot of things that's in the Constitution we don't get.
Right.
But one thing we do have is our free will, right? Choices. We had a choice to either remain in that funk that we was in or come up out of it. And one of the things we do to remind us, is we give kids bikes. We give away bikes every year, not in our name or the organization's name, but the name of the parent who's incarcerated.
That's right on.
Right.
That's right on.
And the reason we won't do it in our name because our part, the blessing we get is giving.
Right.
Right. And also accountability. We give a bike. Somebody, it's like a joke we tell each other. We thought about something that a common thing as children that we have violated, and each one of us had stolen a bike at one time or another.
Right.
So it's like almost like a redemption call, you know, to
Give
get
it
these
back.
bikes back.
Give it
you
back.
know.
Yeah. That's right on. That's a good way. Good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. You know, and the kids are really they excited about this bike. They got a brand new bike. You know, so that's really something that you guys are giving to the youngsters that some of them have never had a bike.
That's right.
You know,
Think of how I don't know if it was growing up in the Bay Area, which I think is a beautiful place to grow up.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, but in Los Angeles, it was like a bike was like a car for us. You know, that was a lot of children didn't get bikes unless they stole them.
That's right.
So, in giving back, our attempt, when I say the redemption, is to also fill that space in for that child, where that child won't feel deprived, feel that he has to or she has to, you know, resort to those measures.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's a good thing. That's right. So you actually you're helping the community. You're giving back to the community.
Yeah.
You know, your organization is giving back to the community, and that's a beautiful thing because I guess like I said, a lot of kids they don't have the fathers not in the home, mother's not in the home. You know, either they incarcerated or they doing other things. So you're making it possible for them to have a nice holiday.
Christmas, yes,
you know, and that's something they look forward to every year at having something that's coming from their father or their mother.
That's right.
You know,
and it's also to show the children second chances,
Right.
and also alternatives. Right, a whole lot of lessons goes into this. You know, it's like a lot of family especially within the African American community. You know, it's a shame people don't believe it, but it's like a shame thing attached to having a person that's incarcerated.
Yeah.
Your mother visited you; she got to go through those doors and metal detectors. Your wife had to go through those metal. Those children have to go through those. So it could kind of breed a kind of resentment for the parent.
Sure.
But we letting the children know also your parents still love you in spite of the situation and circumstances, and that there are second chances.
Right, exactly.
So it's a whole lot of messages to go into that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's good. That's good. The organization you work for it's a beautiful organization. We have a lot of different organizations in the Bay Area. Matter of fact, the Bay Area is a very wealthy community that's giving a lot back to the people coming home from prison. You know,
The social change. I like that too. One thing I like about the Bay Area, and I think Los Angeles and other areas, even though Bay Area is my home there, I'm a Richmondite, buying a home there.
Right.
But I think that places like Los Angeles, Bakersfield, Fresno, and other places where we have large contingency of people that's being shipped into these penitentiaries, they're starting to try to put social apparatus in place. And I think that they're taking their lead from the Bay.
Right. Yeah. We carrying the torch.
That's
Carrying
right.
the torch. You know, we're passing it on. Yeah. Well, like I say, we have a different organization as yours. We have organizations that's trying to start transition housing for long-time offenders coming home, so they can come into a transition house instead of going into a program where they're not needed to go into. You know, and that's something that we have to really seriously work on, because even the Board of Prisoners recognize that we don't need to come home to drug programs. That's the only thing they have right now.
That's right, and that's one of the challenges I've seen in doing this work. I've seen a lot of people come out, and some even fail because of the extra pressures that's being put on them.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're put into a situation where everything around you, you know, is like hazardous, and when you talk about drug transitional housing, and where it's like a drug place, it's like you got to think of who's there.
That's right.
So you got a person who probably was in institutional remission for the last 20 years.
Right.
With being placed in with people who were just starting to work on their sobriety.
Right.
So I mean, we really need to think about housing and employment and other social things for people who have done long time in those institutions.
Right, because being put into situations like that becomes a trigger.
Yeah.
You know, that becomes a trigger, and it don't take much to go back.
No, it doesn't.
It don't take much to go back.
If you look at the statistics, I think that over 80-something% of the people who reoffend are going back for technical violations, and that's what that sets it up, because you don't get the privilege of mouthing off or having an attitude. You can't wake up with an attitude.
Right.
Life or on parole.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
And so you can go back for that. I know a guy who went back after being out for 30 days in one of those situations, and he got caught buying beer, and he went back and did another 4 years. You know?
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. Then I know another brother who relapsed after institutional remission. Good brother, had been out for going on 3 years. Was doing good in the community, and gave a dirty test, and he went back and did another 4 years. So,
he did 4 years on a dirty test.
On a dirty test.
Whoa.
So I mean, they're unforgiving when it comes to the long-term prisoners or lifers who are on parole.
Yeah. Well, long-term offenders, lifers, so to speak. When they come home from prisons, we have to always be conscious. You know, there's always somebody watching us.
That's right. But even if it's not, just for nobody, think of the integrity, the things it took to get out, come through that.
Exactly.
And I don't make excuses for people like, you know, who make those mistakes. They hit a challenge and a roadblock. Hopefully they learn from it. But we have to be cognizant about what it took to get out. And I was once told by this dude named Ron Owens, who was part of building Impact in the Oakland program, Impact. You got to do the same things you did. It took to get out. You got to get out here in this community. Now it's time to show this is where the rubber meets the road.
That's right. That's a fact.
But also, our society shouldn't be putting up roadblocks either.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, like you say, coming home, a lot of people are not aware that certain places, being ex-offender, ex-lifer, you can't go.
No, you can't.
You can't live certain places.
Well,
in the Bay Area.
It's all about if you think about sobriety, right? And you think about some of the things. One of the things I learned about going through some of the NA groups and different support groups, you have to change people, places, and things, and you got to be aware of those residual collateral things. You know, those peripheral collateral things. Like, for instance, if I know, for me, gangs were the problem. When I came out of prison, although I'm 30-something years older, right? I know that I shouldn't subject myself to that type of environment. You know what I'm saying? I had to change that place. I had to change the people I deal with and the things that I found, you know, at that time. Because you remember when you got incarcerated, whether you was 18 or 30, arrested development takes place.
Sure.
Your life in the social thing ceased to exist out here. You said earlier about going into a new environment. When you go into this artificial environment of incarceration, that's a whole different type of world, and you have to adapt to that.
That's right, you have to.
So you adapt to that. People don't look at it. That means cutting off the real social being that you were, the real social society, the part that you used to know, and you become that in there.
Exactly.
So when you return, that's like waiting at the gate for you.
Right.
If you choose to jump into that, you have to avoid, just like anybody under addiction. You have to avoid people, places, and things.
That's right. You have to. So where did you do your time?
I was all over the state. I started off in reception for us was Chino. Then I went to Folsom, and I went down Tracy, back to Folsom, down to Ashby Max.
Okay, you did the circuit.
You know, and most of it was because they were adverse transfers because of my attitudes. You know. And it took me supposed to take you 3 years, 4 years to get out of level 4 back then. It took me 14 years to make that walk. Right.
14 years. That's right.
So,
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, like we say, some people wake up, some people never wake up.
That's right.
You know, and they got a lot of brothers and a lot of people that's inside. They ain't never coming back. You know, and the work that we've done to get out, because we had to put work in. So, you know, they say you go into prison, you get sentenced to 15 years of life, 7 years of life, 25 years of life, and people think that you go in front of the board in 25 years and then you get out. It ain't that. It ain't that. You have to work. You have to hoop. You got to do certain things to get out of prison.
So life means life.
Exactly.
To,
literally.
board.
Yeah, literally. That's what it means. So when you go in, you do 25 years, go to the board in 18 years, and they say, well, we want you to do this. And then you got 5 years now.
Yeah.
You can make 5 years now. You say, well, I did that. No, we want you to do this now. You got 3 years now. So, you know, it goes on and on and on until you can prove to them that you've changed person, and that crime won't never happen again.
I mean, the sad part of it, I believe that the majority of lifers that we're looking at that's coming out, making the exodus, that's what I'm going to call the exodus, may look to a lot of people like a large contingency of lifers, but you got to remember you have maybe about, 30-some thousand lifers in the state of California.
Easy.
And so if you let out 300, that's like 1%.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
those lifers that's coming out now, the sad thing, most of them were eligible and suitable for parole
years ago.
And access was like 10 years ago.
Years ago. Yeah.
And, you know, they went past the optimum point, and I think that's something that our state really needs to revisit too,
Right,
and how
right.
take the arbitrariness is out of that. I mean, when a person is suitable, let them out. I think
Let
that
'em
a
out.
lot of these guys could have been more fruitful to society.
Yeah.
In 10 years at least.
Sure.
ago.
Ago. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they've had a study in Stanford, and they came up with that long period of time does not help.
Yeah.
You see, so if a person is doing time, he got a certain amount of time to do, and if he's programming, you know, if he's going to these groups, he's doing things to change himself. Because at some time in life, you're gonna realize that you got to do something different.
Exactly. But I think that also the long term, what it does is it aggravates. I mean, you have a person that's suitable. Incarceration can be an act of violence,
Sure.
right? You're cutting people off from their loved ones.
Sure.
They see whole families die off.
Sure.
You get somebody who should have been out 10 years ago, but because of the political landscape at the time, like when Gray Davis was in office, you had 20 years of no parole policies for life.
straight. Yeah.
And so you got to think about those people who got caught up in that vacuum right there. I mean, we should be putting systems together where that wouldn't be possible.
Right. That should not happen again because, like I said, Gray Davis and Pete Wilson, they had a policy. Only way you gonna get out of prison is in a pine box, and they advertised that.
And they were serious about
They
it.
advertised it, and nobody got out. If you got out because you came back, they wouldn't have got you and brought you back.
And so that undermines the whole rehabilitative.
Sure.
Not to say to bemoan and say that people shouldn't be held accountable. We must be held accountable.
Definitely.
But at the same time, it has a moment, like you were speaking of earlier, when the punishment phase stops and redemptive opportunities are put in place. People should be allowed to start preparing themselves for society. I'm talking about actually paroling, maybe 4 to 5 years in access, so they can be prepared when they come out to face employment and housing challenges.
Exactly.
And there should be resources here to help them make that transition.
That transition back into society. Yeah, we the organization I work with an organization out of Fremont, Talifi Collective, and we have a transition program that we're trying to put in. Well, we've been doing it a year now. Today is our last day for this year, and we're going to start at a different location in January. But we're trying to have a support circle where we can have long-term offenders come down and sit down in a circle once a month. Because we come on, we got problems, we got issues.
Yeah, that need to be addressed, and that only we can really
Only we can
talking
address it.
about again back to addiction. The reason I use addiction, because I think that after time, some maladaptive behaviors have been adapted by living in a close environment where you had to practically struggle to get a noodle. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
And
That's
so,
real.
too many people, if I said that to them, wouldn't comprehend what I'm talking about. But we know all the ramifications that go into surviving in those environments and losing loved ones and stuff. These are some real tragedies that a person had. We haven't had the chance. You don't get a chance to mourn in prison.
You don't.
Right?
You definitely don't.
We need places like that while we're being cognizant about changing and choosing people, places, and things, pushing those things. We need a place that we can go and really talk about some real stuff and process it.
Exactly. So these are some of the things that we're going to do for the new year. And I'm in the process of opening up a transition house for long-time offenders. I've got everything is in place. I need to be able to sit down and talk with Department of Corrections. I'm having that problem getting in that door to sit down and talk with them. You know.
Yeah,
So,
and that's another sad thing is that who's better fit than you
exactly
to do or someone like that. But a challenge that I found, I think right now I'm working on my PhD. I'm a PhD candidate. I have my master's in psychology. Now I'm working on forensic psychology.
Right on.
Doctor's level. But still, to a lot of people, I'm just a prisoner in civilian clothing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to give us stuff. They say that they open up doors, but they still keep these blockades. That's why when people say returning citizen, if that is to be true, then some of these things need to be lifted. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, I've been out now going on, like I said, 7 years. I haven't gotten so much as a parking ticket.
Yeah.
But I'm still having challenges from doing
day.
certain things that everyday citizens easily go through.
Exactly. And see, and like you say, our thing is a struggle because we was in prison when we lost loved ones. Some of them lost entire families.
That's right.
You know, and we didn't get a chance to mourn. If you got a phone call from your counselor, report to your counselor, you know what it was. You was going, somebody passed. You know, and then when it get down to everybody passing, you know, and they want you to write letters for the board of prison interns. Who's going to write the letters?
Who's going to be those support letters?
Who's supporting that letter? So that's another issue that we have to address because we need to have organizations so we can write letters for these brothers and sisters come home from prison. You know, to have a support, be authentic letters. You know, you're coming home to something that's authentic. You know, a job or a place to live, some kind of support system, and that's what we need to form for these people coming home from prison. You know, so the work that you're doing is outstanding work, man, and I commend you for it. I really commend you for it. You're doing outstanding. Your name is ringing, and that's a good thing. You know, you didn't come home from prison and just squander your time. You know.
You say my name is ringing, and it is.
Yeah.
I Googled myself right one day, and I was embarrassed by all the things.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I was like a pioneer coming out. I got out in 2009 when that many lifers wasn't coming home.
Right.
And so I saw it as my responsibility to safeguard that exit opportunity for other lifers. I couldn't mess up because I knew that would go back on them.
Right.
But also, I knew I had to do some social sculpturing to prepare the way for other brothers. In doing so, a lot of people don't like change. Like you said, Pete Wilson and Gray Davis people were still in office.
Right.
Are those conservative people who feel that people can't change.
Right.
So I had to fight laws like voting rights for formerly incarcerated people. They didn't want formerly incarcerated people to be able to vote at all here in the state of California.
Right.
And we, all of us none, had to sue the Secretary of the State of California to say that we do have a right to vote.
Right.
As long as we're out of prison and off parole.
Right.
Probation does not prohibit somebody from voting.
That's right.
Clean slate measures. Youth. I'm seeing the school to prison the school to prison pipeline being exploited in the sense that if a child get in trouble, they refuse to allow that child to get their record clean unless that child can come up with $150.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Do you know? I mean, just to apply, not to get it, just to apply, and the judge can say we don't accept it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a child coming up in our environment, coming up with $150 legally?
Yeah.
And so we had that law change in the state of California. So by doing these things, I made some folks pretty upset.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are certain folks sitting around, you know, although I never had a parking ticket, I tried to go in and talk to the brothers about preparing them for coming out here, and I got denied. But I'm seeing other folks go right back in.
Right in. Yeah.
But it's only because of the policy thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and that's true. I mean, some places I got approved to go into San Bruno County Jail. I went in one time. They pulled my clearance. Who's better to go?
That's what I'm saying. So why? I mean, when you put up these type of impediments, what that tells me is that you're really not about rehabilitation.
No, you're not.
You know, and so that's why we have to be serious about what we do. We need to talk to them. And again, you have to look at some of the practicality behind it. People are still living in the past. We do need to sit down at the table with some of these decision makers and get them to understand the importance of being able to see somebody that you come from, who know where you came from, and hear the message from somebody. I mean, those brothers, they don't know. You deprive them of this voice.
Right.
You know,
you're doing them an injustice.
It's like lambs to the slaughter.
That's right. You're doing them injustice. You know, But anyway, hey, look, we having a good one here, man. We having a good one here, and if you don't mind, we want to do a second part.
When?
Today.
Or we can do right there.
We can do a second part. So what we're gonna do, audience, viewers today, we're gonna start right now, and we're gonna start over. We're gonna do a second part of the brother with the success story to come home, and he's doing it the way that it should be done. So we want people to stay tuned. We're not going on. We're just gonna take a pause, and we're gonna come back and we'll do part 1 and part 2. So hold on, don't go nowhere.